Hey everyone, this is Dr. Faver, and the teaching moment for this week is on lice. Now, they're not something that we see often, but we know that in certain areas they tend to be very prevalent. So it's important that we're always watching out for it. We've actually had an area in Canada that seems to be a hot spot. We actually had a groomer in Phoenix find a case that the veterinarian had even missed. So just know that it's out there. Now, there's three stages to the life cycle of a lice. And we have eggs, we have nits, and we have the adult form on that. Now, the adult form is about the size of a sesame seed there, and it's kind of a yellow brown. They're much lighter than fleas, so sometimes we can tell them apart from that. They are something that you can see with the naked eye. And to tell exactly what they are, sometimes we need to take a picture with their camera and blow it up, or get one of the magnifying glass type apps off the internet. And what you're going to see is they have a very big body, a fairly large head, and a small thorax in between. So we need to be watching for it. Now, you can run a flea comb through the hair and a lot of times pick up the adults. The nits themselves tend to be glued to the hair itself. Now, sometimes we'll see what looks like dander, and we may mistake it for dander when in reality it's a nit. And the difference being is dander will actually flake off, or if you pull the hair and shake it, the dander will come off. The nit is glued on. It's going to stay there for the long run. Now, we have to realize that the eggs are very small. We're not going to see those. So those become a little bit more of a challenge on that. We have to be aware that because it is contagious, we could be passing along, things like the bedding, direct contact, like boarding facilities and things like that become issues. Collars on that. Our grooming instruments are a real concern for the simple reason if we pick up eggs and can't see them, then a lot of times we could pass that on. Now, soaking them in some type of disinfectant for a long period of time should get rid of them, but not a guarantee. In fact, one resource that I read recommended that if you come across a dog that has lice, to throw out your brushes for the simple reason that we could be spreading it to the next dog. So more than anything else, be aware. The question is, do we want to take on a dog that's got potentially lice there? Or is this something we need to refer out and have them take care of the problem before they come back? And those are all questions that we have. Or have the client buy a specific brush or whatever, and you only use it on their dog, which is an option on that. Now, there is two forms of lice. There's sucking and chewing. The chewing tends to be the more common one, and it causes a voracious itch on that. They are blood sucking, so there are diseases that can be associated with it, and sometimes if they get bad enough, anemia is a problem. Definitely, like so many of our mites in that, if the immune system's not good, we're more prone to having problems associated with it. Now, typically your tick and flea products will manage this or kill these. But every once in a while we get one that, whether we miss the medication or that will create a problem. Now, when it comes to treatment on that, days gone by, we always used to use lime sulfur and tar and sulfur dips. Tar and sulfur, I can't even imagine who thought that this was a good idea to take a petroleum type product and put it on a dog skin. Now, these are harsh products. I'm going to tell you, I've used enough of them over the years that I can't even be in the same building a lot of times when they're being used without having some type of reaction. So they're very harsh. But the good news is if you're doing any therapies and you're using our standard therapy where we use Mineral Plus cream shampoo and Zolfo, you're taking care of business. The Mineral Plus cream shampoo takes care of the bacteria. The Zolfo actually is a sulfur base. Just like the tar and sulfur, just like the lime sulfur, the sulfur is really the active ingredient. The big difference is the sulfur in the Zolfo is very pleasing. It doesn't have that foul smell. It's not toxic, so it's something that we can use. Now, if we're doing baths on this, one-time bath may wipe out the adults on that, but it's not going to get every generation. So doing another bath in 3 to 4 weeks is a good idea. Of course, the owner's going to have to be there doing their due diligence, washing the beds, the collars, and all that stuff in the home environment. But redoing that becomes important. And I'm one with something like this. I would rather even do it the third or fourth time just to make sure, and maybe even 2 week periods, just because I don't ever want to get it started on the overall. Now, the good news is the lice are host specific. So you're not going to get lice from the dog, and the dog's not going to get head lice from the kids. They don't like the chemistry of the different animals. So they're very, very specific. So, we don't have to really worry about that. But if you get a case like that, that shows up, don't be afraid to take it on. We just need to take some precautions and do all the right things on the overall. And if you have questions, feel free to give us a call. But we've successfully treated many cases of that. So I hope that helps. We'll see you next week.